We've now learned that the feds have been flying spy planes over American cities for years. And here is more of their hypocrisy. The feds say the spy planes are not a secret, right? So if they're not a secret, why are they listed under fake companies? A dozen or more fake companies. They're not, we are the FBI planes that fly around and do nothing nefarious. No, they make up fake companies. And I just got word from Mike Emanuel on Capitol Hill. He said, heads up. Chuck Grassley wants details on FBI aerial surveillance programs. I bet he does. Bet a lot of people would like some information on why the FBI is flying planes up there. The FBI has its own fleet of spy planes, which looks like regular old planes up there, little Cessnas and stuff. Officials have been flying them for decades over American cities without any kind of judge's approval at all, and they've been covering it up from the public using fake companies. Bombshell of a discovery from the Associated Press. In our wall over here today, a picture of one of those low-flying planes. Would you look at that thing? Looks so normal, doesn't it? What's that camera on the bottom there for? Notice the antenna underneath the plane? What about that white basketball-looking thing? The AP reports that is a camera. Sure looks like the kind we have on our Fox choppers. Sky Foxers have those. Analysts say it can record high-quality video from long distances, even at night. Some planes reportedly have the ability to pick up cell phone data, even when people are not using their cell phones. According to the Associated Press, the feds flew above more than 30 cities in about a month's time. We're talking Boston, Houston, Seattle, coast-to-coast surveillance. But the feds claim they are not doing anything wrong. And I quote, the FBI, or the FBI's aviation program, is not secret. Specific aircraft and their capabilities are protected for operational security purposes. FBI routinely uses aviation assets in support of predicated investigations targeting specific individuals. The aircraft are not equipped, designed, or used for bulk collection activities or mass surveillance. In other words, we go after the bad guys only. We follow the law, and we're not hiding it.
Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge live in Washington. So, Catherine, what has Fox confirmed about this story?
Over a 30-day period, the AP investigation found more than 100 flights over at least 11 different cities, including Seattle, Houston, Phoenix, Chicago, Boston, Minneapolis, as well as Southern California. The AP says it was specifically asked by the FBI not to identify the shell companies that were being used by the Bureau. But critics today, including the ACLU, question whether the data is retained or destroyed.
Even if the FBI says we're not doing mass surveillance, we're only looking for one guy, their equipment is still gathering up information about thousands or tens of thousands of people. And that raises a lot of questions, constitutional questions and privacy questions.
The DEA and U.S. Marshal Service use planes for similar collection programs. Today, a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee said he wanted to know whether the program respects legal boundaries.
Is it consistent? Is it authorized? Does it have oversight? And we will be asking all these questions sooner rather than later.
The AP reports it linked the surveillance plane to 13 fake companies. If you're not hiding it, why are they fake companies? Leah Gabriel with more on this in the newsroom. Hello, Leah.
Hi, Shep. The AP says a media report on the Baltimore flight is what spurred their investigation into these planes. Now, that's what led them to these aircraft ownership registrations and uncovering those fake companies. According to the AP, the FBI asked them not to reveal the fake companies' names. Here's what the former FBI agent I spoke with said about the AP's decision to do it anyway.
I think it's a shame that the reporters found it necessary to go into the undercover businesses that support it. I don't think that was necessary. If they want to talk about what it does and where it's used and its capabilities, that's fine. But I think they went a little too far here. And now the FBI has got to redo that whole undercover operation. That's expensive and it's time-consuming. They should be doing other things.
According to the FBI, the surveillance flights do comply with agency rules, and those rules limit the types of equipment the FBI can use, along with the reasons for and duration of the surveillance. Shep.
Again, rules. How about Constitution?
Today, the Civil Liberties Group said that they believe this FBI flight surveillance is really part of a broader pattern of government overreach. They say that the FBI may have a specific target in mind, but it still means that when they go after helicopter that targets data. They collect a whole basket of information, thousands of people, and it's not clear whether they retain this data or dump it. But many FBI agents have said in the past the one thing the Bureau never does is throw anything away, Gretchen.
Ah. There's some other agencies that could learn from that trick. I can think of a few. Catherine Herridge, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
For more on this, from a legal perspective, you heard him laughing. Joining me now, Senior Judicial Analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Well, I'm laughing at your comment about other agencies. I'm not laughing about what Catherine's
No, of course
discussing.
not. I know, because you're really upset about this.
Well, here's the thing. If the FBI has word that terrorists have surrounded LaGuardia Airport or are operating in and around LaGuardia Airport, of course it can send planes up there to look at them. If the FBI is following somebody from the sky who it has reason to believe is engaged in criminal activity, of course it can do that. But if it's just flying over a city to see what's down there, locking onto the cell phones of people who happen to come in the purview of its antenna, it cannot do that without a search warrant, and no judge would give a warrant without the FBI being able to say who they're looking for and why they're looking for that person.
Okay.
If the police in Baltimore want to hire the FBI to use aerial photography to monitor criminal activity, that would be a perfectly valid use. But if in the act of doing so, it picked up the cell phone calls of Geraldo Rivera, who was there on the ground for Fox News, and it retained that, that would be a violation of his rights, and the FBI knows that.
Okay, well, she just got done saying the FBI doesn't dump anything.
Well, the FBI would be under an affirmative obligation to dump that which it inadvertently collected, if it was inadvertent. If it intentionally collected it, then it's a profound violation of the civil rights of the people whose information it obtained, because it's doing so without a warrant.
So the FBI put out a statement, and it said that the aircraft are not equipped, designed, or used for bulk collection activities or mass surveillance. Do you believe them?
I don't know that the technology exists. Let's say you and I are walking through the streets of Baltimore, and they're following me and not you. I don't know that the technology exists that would let them just latch onto my cell phone and not yours. And if they don't throw away that which they gather, then they are violating people's rights.
Okay, have a couple questions for you. What is a stingray? Now, don't answer that it's kind of fish.
Isn't it the name of a Corvette?
No. But it's something that triangulates the source of the cellular signal. It acts like a fake cell phone tower.
Okay, yes.
Measures the signal strength from several locations, allows government to locate, interfere with, intercept calls.
Here's the problem with stingrays, is that local police departments have been using these stingrays indiscriminately. Judges are not issuing search warrants for them, and I can tell you personally, from personal knowledge, that when this information shows up in a courtroom, judges are suppressing it because it was done without a search warrant. So you would be driving along a highway, and the stingray intercepts your conversation in the car while you're lawfully talking to someone, and then the government tries to prosecute you on the basis of what they hear in the conversation. The government loses, they've wasted money, and they've violated your rights. If they have a search warrant, then the surveillance of the conversation is perfectly lawful.
Well, let's bring in Heather Hansen now. She's a criminal defense attorney. They're not a secret, yet they're flown under secret names and fake names. They're fine, and yet the government has dropped cases so we don't find out about it. They asked the Associated Press not to report anything that they reported. Right. They use stingrays, which gather up all kinds of cell phone information. They're gathering up cell phone information. They admit that.
Right.
And yet everything is fine.
Well, there's two issues here. One is the video and one is the cell phone information. The video, the Supreme Court has already said that if it's something that you could see if you just happen to be flying over someone's house, then that's going to be admissible. The Supreme Court said that back in the 1980s. Here, though, you've got new technology going on, Shep. You don't know, when they've said that they can see at night, they said that they can see with this high-tech cameras. If those cameras are seeing things that the naked eye could not see, arguably the Supreme Court has not said that that's protected. You move on to the cell phone technology, and Judge Napolitano talked about this earlier. It's the difference between fishing with a hook and fishing with a net. If you're fishing with a hook for one fish, okay, fine. You know the fish you're targeting, that's targeted surveillance. When you're fishing with a net, you're getting all of the fish, and then you've got to throw it back. And if they're not throwing back that information that they're getting with this surveillance, if they're keeping it, then it's violating the Fourth Amendment. And I believe our Supreme Court would agree with that.
Exactly the same thing as the NSA. Exactly the same thing. I'm confident it helps us to be safer. But there's a net, and you can't gather up everything because, America. Right. And Constitution. If you want to change the Constitution, have at it. But right now, this is in violation.
We know they're not getting warrants for the video for these planes. They're saying that they've started getting warrants for the cell phone technology, but is it for the whole net? Or is it just for that one fish they're trying to catch with a hook? That's the question. Our current Supreme Court has said that attaching a GPS to the back of a car violates the Fourth Amendment. They have not gone so far to say GPS technology in general violates the Fourth Amendment. I do think our current Supreme Court would do so, but a number of them are approaching 80 years old.
Yeah.
So whoever's going to be appointing our next Supreme Court is going to have a lot of power on this particular issue.
The camera on Skyfox, or some Skyfox, we have a lot of Skyfoxes, but the camera on Skyfox can read your watch. And you're telling me that they're vertibird, they're planes that are flying up overhead, and Skyfox can do that at night too, whether your eyes can see it or not. Chuck Grassley says they're going to ask some more questions.
Well, that's good.
I'll look forward to that.
Me too.
When you get a chance later today, go outside, look up, and wave to the FBI.